Okay, welcome guys to the next installment of Blender. So today we are going to be making a decanter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete the default cube, and we'll go ahead and change the render engine from Eevee to Cycles, and we're going to go ahead and add a circle. So what I'm going to do to begin with is we'll go into the edit section, and then we'll press F for fill. Sorry, just 1 second. There we go. Okay, so we've got our circle selected. We're going to go up here to objects mode and switch that out for edit mode. And we're going to go F for fill. And what we're going to do is I'm going to bevel in the bottom afterwards, but first of all we'll make the decanter itself. So we're going to go E for extrude, bring this up, and then S to scale, just bring this out slightly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for side view right here, 1 for side view if you need it, and I'm just going to show you how I'm making the base of this. So you're going to want quite a large base for the bottom, and we're going to go for E for extrude, bring it up, make sure that you are using the scroll wheel to stay on the Z axis, and we'll go ahead and just scale this outwards as such. And all you want to do is just make a slight bulb at the bottom. And then we're going to go S for scale and start to bring it in. Now, at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and make that a little bit bigger. I'm just going to go S for scale and bring this up, and then S for scale and bring it in. So we've got something like this. Make sure that this is all even, so you're not going to the side and stuff like that. Because sometimes when I started out with Blender, I go like this. We don't want this. We want to be able to stay central like that. So once we've got this part right here, let's go E for extrude again, and we're going to go S for scale, bring this in. It's going to be quite a narrow kind of bulb, so let's go E for extrude, I'll bring this up, S for scale, and you just want to go ahead and just very gently just curve that back around. Kind of reminds me of a flask actually. But we're going to go from about here, nice little kind of neck there, and then we'll go E for extrude, bring this up just ever so slightly. So you just ever so slightly up just there. We'll go S for scale, this is going to be a little bit of a bevel, so that we've got a lip to the glass. We're going to go E for extrude again, S for scale outwards, E for extrude, E for extrude again. And now we're going to start to go inwards. So, at this point, we're currently at the top of the glass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go E for extrude, leave it where it is, click, and then S for scale, bring it in. And what you're going to notice when we go back down is if I press E for extrude, for example, we've gone back down, but we can't see the inside of the decanter. So if I just go backtrack, that would just work for backtrack that for 1 second. Let's scroll across the top here, and we've got something that's called toggle X-ray. So we're going to click toggle X-ray there, and if I press E for extrude, you can now see that I can see the inside. So what we're going to do, let's go E for extrude, just pull that down just slightly, S for scale to give it that nice little bevel, and because this is glass, what we want to do is we want to be a little bit thicker on the top, a little bit thinner in the middle, and then we want to kind of bulge out just at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and have maybe that much away from the edge. Let's go for E for extrude, we'll bring this down. I'm going to go S for scale just to bring it in just a little bit more. And then I'm going to go E for extrude again and just bring it all the way down to the base of the neck right here. So if you've gone midway like I have, just press G and you'll be able to move it back down again. So we're going to go E for extrude, bring this down, S for scale outwards just a little bit. So you've got that variation in the glass. Let's just leave this right here so you guys can see what's going on the inside from the top. Okay, so once we've got this right here, let's go E for extrude, bring this down again. S for scale, E for extrude, S for scale, and then as I said at the prior part, we're going to make this a little bit thicker at the bottom. So let's go E for extrude, bring this down, S for scale, E for extrude again, S for scale, and you just want to go ahead and just round that off just in the middle, just there. So just like that. Don't worry about the bottom if you're a little bit too close, we can amend that. So now we have this. So now I kind of wanted to make the bottom part quite fancy, and I wanted to indent it as well. So we're going to go to the base right here. Just select his face if you've got your faces selected, because at the top right here you have vertex, you've got edge, and then you've got face. Make sure face is selected. So what we're going to do, let's go E for extrude. I'm just going to bring this down. And then we'll go E for extrude again, S for scale, and then E for extrude, S for scale, and then E for extrude again, and then we'll go S for scale, just to bring that back in a little bit. And then E for extrude again, bring down, S for scale. Now at this point you want to go inwards, so we're going to go E for extrude, leave it where it is, click, S for scale, give it that nice little base, and we're going to go E for extrude, bring this up, S for scale, bring this in, E for extrude, S for scale, bring this in. And what you want to make sure that you do, let's just bring this across, so you have the base on the inside of the glass right here. You don't want your under base, so to speak, this one that we've just indented, to connect to this one. So if in doubt, bring it back a little bit. Just like that, because you want that nice little thick glass look. So once you've got something like this, let's go ahead. I'm going to go back to object mode real quick. Just pull this to the side, and then I'm going to pull this to the side. So you guys can see the side view right there. And then we've got this view right here. So I'm going to go shade smooth. Right click shade smooth. Let's go with G. Bring this above the lines that you've got right here. And we're going to go ahead and put with mesh and plane. S for scale, bring this out. And so we're going to click the little cylinder that we've just made right here. We're going to go with material, add. And we're going to go with principal BSDF, switch it out for glass BSDF, and turn down the roughness. Now, when you go to your render, you should have a nice little glass piece right here. Now, you can frost this if you want to by moving up the roughness, or you can make this completely clear as is. So, the next thing that you can do is to make a stopper in the top. And I mean, they're really simple to make. Let's go ahead and just take this off the render mode for the moment. And all I'm going to do, let's go to add. We'll go cylinder. S for scale, bring this down. Essentially what you want to do is make it sit and fit. So, let's go S for scale, bring this down a little bit. Let's get rid of that transform so you guys can see. I'm going to go right click shade smooth, S for scale, make sure that it fits on the inside of the bottle right there. I'm going to go object mode, edit, and what we can do, let's take the top right here, let's go G, bring this down. And essentially what we want to do is make a nice little pattern on the top right here. So I'm going to go E for extrude, S for scale, E for extrude, S for scale, E for extrude. I'm going to go S for scale, E for extrude. Just make a little point here, just for fancy reasons. Something like that. And then we'll go E for extrude again, and then pull this to a point, just to about here. Because what we're going to do now is, let's go back to object mode. Right click shade smooth if you haven't already. And I'm going to go ahead and add a, you can go with an icosphere, or you can go with a UV sphere for this. It's totally up to you what kind of look you want. Let's go with G, bring this up to the top. Now obviously this is way too big for the bottle, it's going to topple over, so let's go S for scale, and I'm going to go with G, bring this down. want to make sure it sits and fits just there, just at the top. Now, you can go ahead and you can shade this smooth so you can have this nice little smooth look to it, or you can keep it the way that it is to make it look a little bit more fancy. Totally up to you. So if we go back to the render at the moment, we can see that we've got the stopper in the top right here. We've got the glass at the bottom. Now, this glass is a material. So if we name this, if we click the glass even, and we name this and we say glass, obvious name, and then we click the sphere that we have at the top right here. If we go down to the drop down in the materials tab, you have material and you have glass. Now, the material that we have is material, which is the white one that we have here. We want to change it to glass, so we're going to click glass, and this will be the exact same material that we have at the bottom right here. So we're going to want to do this with the bottom of the stopper as well, so that this is nice and uniform. So we're going to go materials and then change this to glass from the drop down. So now we have this nice little decanter, depending on whether you want a whiskey or a wine decanter, something like that. It looks quite scientific. To be honest with you, it does look like, I think they call them conical flasks. It just reminds me of that. If you want to put liquid in this, you can go ahead and select the inside. Alternatively, let's go to side view again. Just going to turn that off. Right, okay, so let's go to add mesh, and we want to go ahead and add in, let's see, circle would do this best. So we can see that we have this line right here, which is the side view of our circle. It doesn't currently have a 3D view because we've not made it 3D yet. So let's go ahead and press G. We'll bring this up to the base of our container. Let's go with S. We'll scale this down. Press G to bring this up. And what I'm going to do, let's go to edit mode. Press F for fill. E for extrude. Bring this up, use the axes. S for scale. And all you're going to do is just fill in that space as best you can. Just make sure you're not interacting with the glass, you're just on the outside of it, or in this case on the inside. E for extrude, let's bring that up again. S for scale. And then we'll go E for extrude, and then, you know, whiskey glasses and decanters and stuff like that, they're generally not full all the way to the top. They do have an air. So we can have something like this. Let's go back to object mode. Right click, shade smooth. So now, when we have this little render going on, we have a little bit of liquid inside of it. What we want to do, let's go new. We'll change out the principal BSDF. You could go with anything really. You can go with glass, you can go with glossy, metallic. Metallic would work, but it's a bit iffy. I mean, if you went, oh, not that one. Let's go with metallic real quick, just to show you. So if we went with metallic, you can turn the roughness down. And you can have that nice little shine on there. And then to make this a little bit more kind of whiskey, kind of like, I guess you could just mess around with the settings. But to be honest with you, if you're with glass, let's see what glass looks like. That would be glass. And then you can mess around with the IOR as well to kind of make that liquid look. But if you go with Principal BSDF, you can have that little bit of metallic. I feel that you just have a lot more control. So you can go with metallic, turn down the roughness, and then you can mess with the alpha, which will basically make the liquid a little bit more clearer, so you can see in the background as well. Let's go with base color real quick. Kind of change it to that nice little kind of golden whiskey kind of look, I guess. Yeah, something like that, I guess. I'm not a huge whiskey fan, but I guess that's what you could have in there. Or you could have red for wine if you wanted to, if it's a wine decanter. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go with like that, I guess. if you've got something different on your project, go for it. So yeah, I think that would work for the piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and just amend the background right here, just to make that kind of like a grey, maybe metallic. Just turn down that roughness. That's something you can do as well. I quite like doing this. And then what I'm going to do with this background right here, let's go to Shading tab. Click the background. And I'm going to go ahead and add... you can do Veroni for this, or you can do noise texture. Totally up to you what you want to do. Let's go with noise texture. Colour to roughness. And you'll notice that you get all these little points on here. It's just an idea to make some texture in the background if you're doing anything like photography wise with this piece. So you get something like that with nice little sheen. And you can go ahead and just change the tones on this. What I would suggest lighting wise, let's go with this one for a moment. Let's go add. I'm going to add plane. Let's go G, bring this up. And R for rotate. And S for scale outwards. So you've got this nice little piece right here. And what I'm going to do, let's go new. Change principal BSDF to emission. And this will be a light source. So I'm going to get rid of the original light source here. So let's go with delete. We're going to take this. Let's go S for scale. Just to bring this in a little bit. If it'll let me. Come on. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to press G. Bring this across. And when you see this, you should now have this nice little light source at the side. It kind of gives it a little bit more of a 3D look. I'm going to go with S for scale. Just bring this across. And then S for scale, just bring this down a little bit. So it's almost like strip lighting. Let's go ahead really quickly and just go Shift D. Duplicate that down. Shift D, duplicate that up. Just multiple kind of things. It doesn't have to be perfect. So when we've got the cylinder right here and we go to the render tab, we now can see that we have some lighting in the background. We can now increase the strength. And I think that it works really well in pulling out some of those details as well. So what we can also do is take the background, which is the world settings, change it from grey to black. And what we could do from here is let's go add, let's go view, line view, camera to view. This little box right here is your camera, so if you press G, we can bring this back. Come on. So let's press G, just scroll back, just move the mouse back. And then you could just get this into frame. Hold down center scroll and move that back, sorry. I'm just going to go ahead and just move this lighting back so it's not in the way. Okay, let's press G and bring that back. Okay, so once we've got something like this, we can also click the camera. Go to the data settings, which is the camera at the bottom. Click depth of field. And then we've got the eyedropper just at the side under focus on object. Click the glass. And all you're going to do is just turn the aperture down. So, sorry, the f-stop in the aperture down. And this will blur the background and will keep everything in focus just here. So if I just enlarge this just slightly, you guys can see what's going on. So it's all fuzzy at the moment. What generally tends to happen is it will figure out what's going on the picture and then it will do the lighting last. So if the lighting isn't showing up properly, just leave it a few minutes and it should come back. It depends on the machine that you're currently using, because if you've got, say, like I wouldn't say a high-end machine, but if you've got a machine that's like really good at doing calculations, it'll probably calculate everything a lot faster than say like a machine that's not used to doing stuff like this. So I think it depends on your processors as well. I'm going to go ahead and just up that f-stop just a little bit because it's out of focus. If you guys want to see what the focus is like, you can go on to the third render here, which is viewport shading. So that will show you in real time what everything's going to look like. So I think that's too blurred for me. So I'm going to go ahead and just amend that as that. So that's the tutorial for today. If you guys liked, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.